Is it me, or has this been the most affected season, I beg your pardon, in recent memory? I don't mean just Birmingham. Take a look at the Premiership playoffs, where not one team was able to field a full side. And let's be honest, the injuries probably played as big a part in the result as the riders that rode. So is it the most injury-affected season? Well, who knows? Because as far as I'm aware, nobody collates any of this information, and I know nothing, or so I've been told. So maybe it's time for that to happen. What I do know, and what I have to say now, is well done, Ty Woffington. World champion. No, 3 times world champion. Good on you, Ty. And I'm sorry, I've got to say this. Waffy, waffy, waffy! Only in Speedway. Well, good evening and welcome to the Speedway Tavern. We think this will be our penultimate. Do you know what that means, by the way? Penultimate.
That's what. Sorry.
That's close enough. Our penultimate show. We hope to do another one next week, when hopefully we'll be able to talk about the Olympic and tomorrow's 3-team tournament against Cradley and Wolverhampton at Birmingham, which I'm really looking forward to, because there's nothing on it.
No, there's nothing at all, is there really?
Yeah, which we can just enjoy some, what I think will be an entertaining match. A lot of people out there want to see in a three-team tournament. So we might have a word. We're going to have a word with Laurence Rogers later, and maybe he can explain us the format a little bit, because it's a weird one, a 3-team tournament, isn't it?
I've seen it before, but not for a few years.
Yeah.
The Craven Shield used to be a 3-team tournament many years ago. But,
what are the benefits and non-benefits of?
Well, you get 3 teams, I suppose, is the big benefit. And you have, as I recall, you have a situation where you got 2 riders from one team and 1 rider from each of the other teams on a sort of formula. So that team's got a chance to team ride the other 2 teams out of it, and it's just different, isn't it? Yeah. So
it's not necessarily better, just different.
It's just different, yeah. Okay. And also, as I say, you get to beat Cradley and Wolverhampton. Although I'm going to tell Laurence Rogers off later. Oh, because he's put John Embleton and Sheldon Davis in the Cradley team. What am I supposed to do? I can't support. I'm confused.
Sheldon Davis is actually in the Wolves team, by the way.
Oh, is it the Wolves team? Well, yeah. I can't shout for them either. But there you go. Yeah, we'll go over the teams. I've got a bit confused with those because, well, it's confusing.
Yeah.
There's no way getting out of that.
No, when you get to your age, you get easily confused, don't you?
Right, I believe we've got some stuff on the shout box already. So let's.
Well, Paul Wood says you might see a 3-team league next year.
A 3-team league next year?
No, not for me.
I don't think there's going to be a 3-team league. It's not
it's a league with 3 teams in, and it's.
Well, that's Explain. A pirate league may liven things up for next season for Midlands teams.
I'm not sure what that means.
I can't see that happening. Can you?
No.
I think it needs to. Maybe in some ways, but. I can't see that ever happening, because who's going to ride for it? Because the BSPA will turn around and say, you're not FIM regulated, you ride for those teams. You don't go in, you don't ride for your country. That's going to be a difficult one. Rebels versus Stars tomorrow in the Knockout Cup final. It's sort of a consolation prize for both of those teams.
It is, yeah. That looked at one stage as if it was going to be the playoff final.
It did, didn't it? Yeah. We'll come on to that playoff final. Paul against Somerset, and that last heat was something else. We'll come on to that in a bit later. What can be done to help more clubs, especially Midlands, like Kings Lynn, Peterborough? Is Kings Lynn Midlands?
If you expand it out.
Kings Lynn, Peterborough, Leicester, Scunny. Definitely not the Midlands. Say to run National League teams to help young up-and-coming riders earn a bit to help further their careers in Speedway. Most clubs just say not viable anymore, and pass at weekends, so don't affect college, etc. After all, they are the future of the sport is going to survive in this country. I haven't. Have you got anything to say to that?
Not really, no. It's,
other than I can't see it happening.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Stephen Zetterwar says a 21 league like in 1995. Can't see that happening as well.
No. I mean, they tried it in the 90s and it didn't. Well, to be fair, in the 90s they didn't really need to try it, to be honest. It was just. It seemed to me like it was a change for the sake of it, and it didn't work because I think a lot of the costs for what were the old second division teams, as it was then, were just too much. And
the problem you've got, I think, is that the teams at the bottom, and that's a long way down the bottom. They've got how are they going to attract support?
Well, the problem is you get too many meetings where there's nothing really riding on it, to be honest. And is there going to? I mean, obviously you'd expect riders to be motivated, whatever the circumstances in a race, but because there's money on it,
of course,
trying to earn a living. But if it's sort of like get to October and it's 14th against 10th in the league, and you can't really go any higher or lower in the league, then it's a bit nondescript, isn't it? So that's the problem with that, I think.
Sweden will have 9 teams in the Elitserien in 2019. How many have they got now?
10, I think, isn't it?
10. So they've lost one. They've got a very shortened season as well, haven't they, Sweden, as I recall?
Yeah, it doesn't start till May anyway, does it? So.
But, nice to see Mitch having a blast tomorrow.
Yes.
Take it easy, buddy.
Yeah, that'll be great to see, wouldn't it?
I didn't know about that. Does that come on tonight?
That has come on tonight. He's going to have a spin after the meeting.
Well, so. that is fantastic. Oh, great.
So.
Oh, wow. I don't know what to say. That I'm so pleased. I mean,
it's good.
What that guy's gone through. I'd love to see him riding for us again next year. I really would. I'd love to see him. Tom Bacon. Who else would I like to see riding for us?
Leon Flint.
James Shane's, not Leon Flint as well. I mean, it's not going to happen. you couldn't get all those.
I suppose a lot of it depends on what league Birmingham brings.
There is that,
so.
yeah. And I'm going to ask Laurence Rogers that question, and he won't answer me, but I've got to ask it him. When he comes on later. You've got to say congratulations to Paul.
Yep.
Did you see the gritted tooth? Did you?
Yeah.
They did it again. You can't knock them.
But you can never write Paul off, can you?
Well, you did. Halfway through the season, when they was bottom of the season,
I think Rosslers made the mistake of doing that, didn't they? But they just seemed to find that form from somewhere, didn't they? And I felt after the victory against Swindon, Somerset, I felt the momentum was with Paul a little bit in the final. Kingsland, of course, sort of fell into the same trap that what we did last season. Injuries at the wrong time, sort of, ended their chances. And I think Paul, the start that Paul made in the first leg of that grand final, to be 24 up after the first 4 races, I don't think Kingsland ever really recovered from that, to be honest. I mean, they got back to within 10 points, but then a few controversial decisions maybe dominated the last few races of that first leg. But Paul were able to get a 16-point lead, and it was Paul went to Kingsland.
That was an amazing leg, wasn't it? I mean, they got ahead and then they got pulled back and then took it away again. It was
and fair play to Paul as well, because a lot of teams have gone to Kings Lynn and been on the real end of a hiding down there, but it was a very professional job from.
It was a weakened.
Against a weakened Kings Lynn team, yes.
Because if Palm Toft had been in at reserve, I think Kings Lynn would have won that. Because he could have had 7 rides and
they didn't really start well enough, did they? To be honest, they just couldn't get any momentum in the earlier stages of the meeting. And,
that's what killed them.
Yeah, but of course, Matt Ford pretty much saying that. There's been rumours all over the season. He didn't as much say it in many words, but I think he dropped the biggest hints possible. That
as is Ged Rathbone at Peterborough, of course.
Yes, of course, more uncertainty for Peterborough, unfortunately now. So. Which is a shame, because he's done a terrific job at Peterborough. They've really re-established themselves well after a tough few years in the top flight. They
got a lot of injuries at the wrong time again. It's another team that's basically written their their season off. A lot of the same injuries as us, of course, because a lot of their riders were the same as
That's right.
Our riders. But
hopefully Peter will be sorted and they can come to the tapes in 2019.
I need to say this out because Shoutbox is going mad, so we've got to try. If I don't keep up, I'm going to miss things. So Harold Hartkay says, "Hope I didn't miss the shout out to an outstanding score by my boy Gino Manzarez." Yeah. Well, you was there just on time because there it was. Mm-hmm. you might remind us, like I don't know, what this outstanding score was. Mm. So thoughts on Matt Ford leaving Poole? Well, we've just he said that he won't sell it to just anybody. He's going to make sure the future of the club's okay. But
he's been there for 20 years now.
20 years, and,
whether people like Poole or not, they have been probably the outstanding club, if you like. They've
there's no doubt
promoted
about that.
The sport very well down there. I mean, you could possibly say that there's not really a lot else to do on a Wednesday night in Poole. But so at the end of the day, you can only promote with what you
you do the job.
He gets out there and promotes, and they've had some great riders there. Unfortunately, this Poole team, I don't think he's a patch on some of the Poole teams that have been on the patch.
Just lost all the Poole fans.
Yeah.
By the way,
Oh, that's all right.
Stefan Zatawal said Waggy and Griffin can buy Pirates, I presume. Apparently, Gino Manzarez got 14. That's a good score in anybody's money.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Right, so I'm looking at the time. I suppose we better. We're going to see if we can get hold of Laurence Rogers while you sort that out.
Okay.
Get hold of him on the phone.
I'll ask you the question I asked at the top.
Yeah.
Has this been the most injury-ridden season in recent memory?
Certainly has been for Birmingham, isn't it? Because
yes, but we have got a worse season than this.
Yeah,
I've got a theory, by the way. Years ending in 8.
Yeah, I was thinking actually about that the other day. Actually, so
because 2008 we had 13 injuries.
Yeah,
13 injuries. It's just ridiculous.
That's nearly 2 teams, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Paul Wood just said, "Where's the sound gone?" Well, I've still got it.
I can hear everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, oh. Yeah. He's quick
Pardon?
tonight, but no,
so
still rubbish though.
No, the sound's still,
if anybody else has got, they must be hearing it because they're commenting on what we're saying.
No, I've got it on my external sound. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe you need to put hole in plug in hole even.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a better way around, isn't it? Wow. So yeah. Yes, so certainly yes, but I think there are a lot of other teams that have. I mean, Peterborough we mentioned, they've been riddled with injuries to the same way.
Kingsland, of course, as well.
Kingsland, even Somerset as well. They had a that's affected them. We've got these brand new air fences that every single club now has to have.
Yeah.
But we're still getting just as many injuries, it would seem to me. This year, probably more. Is it just a blip, or is there a reason for it? The problem that we've got is that we can't. These are questions that are good questions, but we can't answer them because nobody's collecting this information.
We get a wall of silence, don't we? So.
Yeah. Well, nobody's collecting. As far as I'm aware, nobody's collecting this information, and that's surely.
I think we've said before, haven't we, that the general feel from people in the sport seems to be, it's just part and parcel of the sport.
And that's so complacent.
I was just waiting for you to react like that because
it's just so complacent. It's too complacent. Yeah. Yes, it is. There's no denying that it is part and parcel of the sport. But for that to be your first response is very complacent. Could you imagine going up to a Formula One team? Or the people that run Formula One now and say that their reaction wouldn't be, it's part and parcel of the sport. Their reaction would be, we're doing everything that we can to make a very dangerous sport as safe as we can make it.
Yeah.
That's what their reaction would be.
You can never make it totally safe. The only way you can make it totally safe is by taking the bikes off the track. But you
don't want to make it. The excitement is part of the sport.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's affecting the results, and that's disappointing from a fan's point of view. So, Speedway is in a poor way. The product is very poor. It has been constantly sliding into the history books. The BSPA, SCB, ACU are not doing anything that is convincing me that we could turn the corner. These are the clowns running our sport into the ground. I believe we need an independent body to change direction. What's your thoughts, please? Well, let's come back to that, because we're going to talk to Laurence Rogers now, but we definitely will come back to that. Right, it's going to be a little bit of fiddling about now. Hopefully. Okay. I'm just bringing Laurence over to my table. Right, so hopefully we have got Laurence Rogers on the line. Can you hear me, Laurence? Unfortunately, I can't hear you.
Push him in a bit more.
Hello.
Hello.
That's much better. Brilliant. So it seems like we've had a close season already.
Very much so, yeah.
I can't remember, how long is it since we've last ridden it?
It was just about a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
September the 12th.
About a month, I think it is, yeah.
Meetings,
well, we've had 2 more rained-off meetings since then.
Yep.
Oh, don't talk about rained-off meetings, please. Dirty word.
Yes, I know. It's been a summer of continual sunshine, and yet we've still got tracks that haven't managed to complete the fixture lists. Didn't know whether you wanted to say anything on that.
Well, we had ours all done by the end of August, that's all I can say.
Yeah, well, it's disappointing, I think.
Birmingham have been very lucky with the rain, though, haven't they, with home meetings? I don't think there's been many meetings at Perry Bar call off this season at home because of the weather. But
well, everybody's had that same weather, though.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's had that really good weather. I mean, the whole country's been like that, so I don't think we've been any luckier than any other team on that score, but that's just me. So tell us about tomorrow's meeting, Laurence. It's an unusual formula with a 3-team tournament. Perhaps could you...
completely differently going for you. It's Plymouth used a similar thing the other week. Mark wanted to put a meeting on for his last one, and I got in touch with the guy who does some of these formulas and sorted out a 3-team. There's 18 heats, 3 teams with 4 riders in each team. They have 6 rides each, and the teams ride 12 heats in total apiece. So Team A right against B, then C goes against A, then B against C, then C against A, etc.
Okay. So there's always 2 riders from each team in each heat.
Always 2 riders from each heat. Yes.
So I got that wrong earlier then.
Yeah.
Hold my
you
hand
did
up.
Slightly.
Yeah. Something else you got wrong.
Yeah. So. I don't. There's anybody out there that will be surprised by that.
I heard you comment about Josh and Sheldon riding for the Heathens and for the Wolves. Well, what we try to do is to even the teams up slightly, so that each team has 1 reserve strength rider with 3 other riders in there. So in fairness to Josh and Sheldon, we've lent them to the opposition. We must thank Chris Van Straten actually for this, because Chris allowed us to use the Heathens and Wolves names with the select element on it for this thing, for this Midlands Revenge.
I love the Revenge title. Who's going to win?
The Brummies, of course.
Wow, I would have taken you off air if you'd said anything else. To be fair.
Yes, there'll be a few Brummies fans that are cheering Josh and Sheldon on in their races quietly.
Yeah, and embarrassingly as well.
Sheldon against Cradley, I would assume. So.
Yeah, there'll probably more of us shouting for them than there will be Cradley fans. Yeah. Who knows? We've also got, I don't know whether you want to give it a little plug, we've got the end of season shall we put it that way, coming up in it's a couple of weeks, is it now?
It's Friday, November the 9th, yes, at the stadium. Tickets will be on sale tomorrow night. And also there are voting forms for Rider of the Year as well going out as well tomorrow. So that's going to be done different. I think Lee's announcing that in the morning, but I've just stolen his thunder slightly.
Okay, but, well, I won't tell anybody if you don't.
I've not said it to the public at all.
And also, I've just found out that Mitch Dave is coming out for a spin after the meeting.
Very much so, yeah. In fact, tomorrow all the injured Heathens, but for JBB who can't make it, plus Lane, are going to be there in attendance and signing autographs and talking to the riders, and we're going to take a team photographs for the difference. Then Mitch, after the meeting, is jumping on his bike and seeing how he feels.
That's just
That's
fantastic.
fantastic, wasn't it? Yeah.
Unbelievable, mate.
Yeah, I think I'll probably get the biggest cheer of the night. That will.
Very much. I think people will be stopping behind after he's 18.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that more than because it's. I mean, we was all there that night and we all witnessed that accident, and it was the second worst accident that I've ever seen in my life, and it was. And then what was happened on the track afterwards, was quite sickening.
Very much so.
But these Speedway riders, they're made out of rubber, aren't they?
They're all mad.
Well, yes. I think I once asked my son whether he'd ever consider becoming a Speedway rider. He said no. I said, why? He says, because I've got a brain.
You have to leave it in the toolbox.
Yeah. So anyway, that's by the by. We're coming up to sort of AGM territory now.
I think your reaction there said it all, Laurence.
Yes.
First of all, I would imagine that no decisions have been made as to which league Birmingham's going to be in next year until all the information from that's all sorted. Would that be
very much so? Yeah, David, Peter, and I have had discussions, talks, and thoughts there. But until anybody knows what the format for any league is going to be and points, limits, etc., lots of rumours going round, and some of them might be true. We don't know, but until all that is finalised, we won't make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing all sorts of horror stories of what it might be and might not be.
Do you foresee much change, Laurence, in any of the structures of the leagues, or?
Not a great deal, I don't think. I know people say, there should be all one big league. That'll never happen again. I can tell you.
No.
There should be north and south again. That would be an ideal situation. Will it ever happen? So I think that there's a lot of talking to go on, and a lot of work behind the scenes before we know what 2019 is going to evolve for us.
What's the date on the AGM? Do you know? Are you allowed to tell us?
Well, we don't get to go to the main AGM between the two top leagues. No. Which is a bit of a rancor, because I think, and several promoters agree with me, that all three leagues should be involved at that stage, even if it's not for the first day. But the National League have their AGM separately, which I think is wrong.
Yeah, and very often they have that separately after having been told things that affect their league.
Yeah, that's right. It is frustrating, I think, so when you're told
very frustrating, I can tell you.
Told beforehand what you've got to do. So
yeah. Oh well, I mean, let's I've nailed my colours to the mast that I'd like to see us go up a league, but by the same token, I want to see Birmingham survive, and that's the most important thing. So
yes, it's got to be looked at from various angles, and one of the big ones is the financial side of it.
Of course. So, if I was to give you a magic ball, what would you like to see? What sort of rules would you like to see made? I bet I can guess one of them, actually.
Go on. What's your guess?
My guess is that instant ride replacement when a rider gets injured.
Very much so. I think the rules should be the same in all three leagues.
Yeah.
The guest element's slightly different when it comes to the National League, because you've got kids involved in schools and everything else. But I think all the other rules should be identical, as should be the points limit.
Yeah, well, there's no I've never understood why that hasn't been allowed, to be honest.
No. Well.
Probably too much common sense, isn't it?
No. Okay, so yes, we all in limbo a little bit now, as far as we're waiting for AGMs and all the rest of it. I was wondering. So we normally have another show at the Speedway Tavern after the AGM to talk about that. Would you be prepared to come on that show?
Yeah, no problem at all. So, I don't charge much.
I can vouch for that. Yeah. The Ferrari will be there tomorrow. Yeah. So, right. Well, thank you very much once again, Laurence. And what I will say is to everybody, get yourselves down the bar tomorrow, because the close season's a long old close season.
It is one, yeah.
It is. So there'll be obviously a lot of Cradley and Wolverhampton colours on the terraces tomorrow as well.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly,
yes.
Yes, of course it would. Right, you take care, Laurence, and thank you once again for coming on.
See you tomorrow night, boys.
Yeah, you take care.
Thanks, Laurence.
Bye. Right, so yeah, he answers all your questions straight down the line as ever.
Yep.
So right, we got some comments to go through. Well, we had that one that I said we would come back to.
It was Mark Robinson's, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. So I'll read that back out again. Speedway is in a poor way. The product is very poor. It's been consistently sliding into the history books. The BSPA, SCB, ACU are not doing anything that is convincing me that we could turn the corner. These are the clowns running our sport into the ground. I believe we need an independent body to change direction. What's your thoughts, please?
Well, I think everyone's in agreement that we need an independent body, apart from the people that matter, of course, and that's the...
It's a bit like the turkeys voting for Christmas from their point of view. I think that probably the ones that most don't want that to happen are the ones that are doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine the ones that aren't doing so well.
Possibly, maybe the old school promoters would probably want that as well, wouldn't they? Have been in it for a long time, you know.
Yeah, maybe so. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? Can you tell me any professionally run sport that is run by the owners of the clubs?
I don't see an issue with the owners of the clubs having a say, but they shouldn't have a controlling interest in it when they've got a vested interest in, and financial interest in it, to be honest. Okay.
Let me quantify what I was saying a little bit more. Yes, I have no problem with the BSPA or whatever they want to call themselves, setting up the rules, getting together and saying, right, these are the rules, right, and that does happen in other sports. What doesn't happen is that then those same people apply those rules and run the sport for that season or however many it is, and that's where the independent body should come in. It should be a referee, or unless a Barry Hearn wants to come in and that would be great. But in the absence of somebody with that sort of money, then get together, have your AGM, do your rules, have your 5-year plan, whatever it is, and then say, there's the rule book, you're running it for this season, next season, or whatever. Because the big problem is that when there's a decision to be made, and the person that's making the decision has got a vested interest in the result of that decision, whether there's something, whether they've done it because of that vested interest or not, doesn't matter. People will perceive that.
I think, looking back now, is it 7 years since the infamous winter discontent with Coventry and Peterborough? I think that definitely in the case of what was then the Elite League is now the Premiership, I think that bankrupted a lot of the Elite League's credibility, to be honest. I mean, I know that Coventry and Peterborough obviously ultimately came back into it at the 11th hour, but I mean,
nearly killed Birmingham as well.
Well, I mean, the argument was that they wanted an independent body to adjudicate in disputes or anything like that, something like that, which, whether it was agreed or not, once Coventry and Peterborough were back in, that sort of got brushed under the carpet, didn't it? And it was just like, let's just get rid of it, and hopefully people will forget that it ever happened. And of course, Coventry really are the ones that probably suffered the most from it, because they were, they spent the last sort of 5-6 years before we sadly lost Coventry because of Brandon, sort of always having to battle to survive. Really, they didn't really have particularly strong teams after that. I know they got into the playoff final, I think, in 2015, but there was always a little bit of uncertainty about Coventry, and then of course with Brandon Estates purchasing Brandon, and now we're in a situation where Coventry are riding up at Leicester while Brandon lies derelict,
which is just only in Speedway. So we've got a few more questions to come up with. I mean, we haven't answered that question, actually. I mean, the other part of that question, I'm coming back to it now, is that the product is poor. I guess it depends on what you mean by that. I think the basic product, which is 4 men, 4 laps, racing hell for leather. There isn't any more. There isn't any racing that is more exciting than what you see on a speedway track.
I think
there just isn't.
I think the presentation of the product is poor.
But that's the problem: the
honest.
presentation and the gaps and the. What's that? I mean, we've all had experiences, I'm sure, of taking new people to Speedway and they're going, "Well, what's happening now?" And you're just like, "Well, nothing."
Yeah, you just feel like an idiot, don't you?
Yeah. That's where I think Birmingham have got it right this year. I believe Isle of Wight have done similar things.
Yeah. Well, I think Birmingham with the interval entertainment on the centre ground is a real step in the right direction. I'd like to see a few more of the clubs. So actually, Wolves have sort of started doing that towards the end of the season as well. So I wonder whether that's maybe
so they picked up on it. Presumably.
Yeah.
So yeah,
because the one thing I will say about Birmingham this season is that I have seen a lot more kids on the terraces now than in recent seasons.
Oh yeah,
because that's been my big worry about a lot of Speedway clubs is that you see hardly any kids now on the.
It's the same in a lot of sports though. It is sports seems to be as far as going supporting a team seems to be a thing that youngsters don't quite get.
Yeah.
And I don't know why there is.
And they are the future. Children are the future.
I think it's these little...
Children are the future.
Yeah. I think it's these plastic...
You should write a song about that.
Yeah, I think it's these plastic things with screens that seem permanently attached to their hands, don't they?
That's right. As he puts his
down, yeah. Okay, what's Birmingham's average gate this year and what's break-even attendance? Don't know is the answer.
Well, we don't get gate figures, do we?
No. I mean, nobody in Speedway gives out gate figures.
Well, Tony Mole used to when he was at Longaton, and he got told to stop doing it by the other promoters.
Yeah,
don't know why, but
I can't understand why. I just can't understand why.
I think it's safe to say that
you're being sarcastic there, Mark.
I mean, I can only. This is just a gut feeling. I think our gates this year have been better than last year.
Yes,
and when you consider, the season that we've had, that's no mean feat, with all the injuries and everything, because people have, I can't, I'm the most dyed-in-the-wool Speedway fan ever. You cut me and there's yellow mixed in with the red.
You want to see a doctor about it.
I'm a bit worried about the yellow bit.
And I forgot where I was going with that now, thanks guys. But the attendances have been better this year than last year, but even I was getting fed up with all the injuries and was waiting for the season to finish. Really looking forward to tomorrow because I haven't seen any proper Speedway live. Yeah, I was going to go to the Olympic yesterday to get rained up, but I shall probably be there on Monday next week.
Unfortunately, I won't be there because I'll be away. So, I've seen my last action at Monmouth this season. Unless that gets rained off and it gets put on the week after. So, tomorrow will be my last meeting of the season, I think. So.
That's a shame.
I love the fact that our shoutbox has become like an old meeting ground for old friends.
It does, yeah. They haven't seen each other for years.
So Stephen Zetterwall has asked, will Eastbourne Eagles go for the top league again?
No, can't see.
No? Will they win a league title? Or are they just going to keep winning the
Knockout Cup?
As it should now be called, the Eastbourne Benefit Trophy. Yeah. Who knows? Ipswich Witches, will they go to the top league? I don't.
Well, to be fair, Chris Louis has said that his long-term ambition is to see Ipswich back in the top flight.
Right.
I mean, Ipswich were an established top flight club for many years, but I suppose it's got to be an attractive proposition to move up there. So, I mean, from what I can gather, their crowds have been pretty good this season, and they've done pretty well in the division over the last few years. So.
I'm wondering whether somebody knows something that we don't. Susan Jordan says, nicely, we had a big mystery guest tomorrow at Brum.
Probe.
I'm not saying anything.
Well, it's not you, because you're there every week.
It's definitely not me. And I've got no information, by the way. Why don't the ACU do what they do with nearly every other bike sport and be the ultimate arbiters on rules and their application and what to something when they are broken. Yeah. What to do when they are broken. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I think probably the BSPA don't want them to.
Possibly, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't got. It would seem to be, or the SCB. If the SCB was proper It's supposed to be the Speedway Control Board after all.
That's why the base blade was brought in the first place, wasn't it? I think all them years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Will riders like Jason Dorton, Niels Christian Everson ride in GB in 2019? What are your thoughts about that, please? Jason
Jason Doyle's already said that he wants to race in the UK next year.
I was going to say probably Jason
Niels
Doyle.
Everson.
I guess it depends on what's on offer for him.
It's got to be, well, at the end of the day, it's got to be financially viable for them to ride over here. So
a lot will depend on whether we allow them in there next year, because we don't know what these rules are going to be.
It would be wonderful to see the 3 times world champion back in the UK next year. Whether it'll happen,
that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? And let's, as an aside, well done Ty Woffington, not just for winning, but what he's done since he's been. You know, we've seen him all over the place on BBC Breakfast. He's been on News Round. He's been all over the place promoting the sport.
Yeah, well, he did it when he won it the first time as well, didn't he? So
I did notice there was a spot on a WM the other morning as well, explaining the rules of Speedway. That was quite interesting.
Well, that would have taken a few weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably not the best thing to do, Ty, to be honest.
What about Peterborough Panthers go to the Elite League? Well, here's the thing, though.
Well, they've got
they haven't even got a boss at the moment, so
they
haven't got an owner because he's put them up for sale. But here's the thing, though: the Elite League's got to get at least one more club, hasn't it, to be a viable league?
I don't know about the Premiership has.
That's what I meant. Yes, well, that's because he said.
Yeah, it's got. Well, can't run with 7
teams.
There's absolutely no way in a million years it can run with 7 teams. So
that's somebody's got to be given perhaps an incentive to,
or maybe more than one has got to be given an incentive to get up.
Maybe. So there's a lot. Stephen Zetterwall says thanks for your thoughts, Matt and Michael, for what they're worth.
I know. Yeah.
For what they're worth.
Not a fat lot.
Because actually, I'm going to get a little bit on a personal note now. I've been accused via one of the forums, you can guess which one, of not knowing what I'm talking about.
All right.
Yeah. I'll say that if you think that that's what this programme is about, that we know what we're talking about, then you have missed the point. The whole point of this programme isn't that we know what we're talking about. The whole point of this programme is that, like every other Speedway fan, we like our sport and we have opinions about it, and they can be right and they can definitely be wrong.
Mostly the latter.
Of course.
We know that.
Yeah. In fact, we ain't got a clue.
And when we first established this programme 10 years ago, the idea wasn't, the reason we called it the Speedway Tavern was because we'll just be a bunch of blokes talking about their favourite sport down the pub. That was exactly. So that's what this programme's about. So if you think you're criticising me because I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know what I'm talking about. There you go.
Yeah.
We got some more. Wow, it's really going. This is from Chris Simpson. Hello, Chris. How you doing? Evening, chaps. Hope you've had a great season. Well, we've had an injury-ridden season. What's your thoughts on Sheffield being in the top league next year? Hence the standing down of Simon Stead with Nicky Pedersen at number 1.
I'd love to see Sheffield back in the top flight. I think it's a fantastic.
It's a great track, isn't it? Yeah. It would really grace the top flight. Will they get are they getting the crowds? I've not been to Sheffield.
Well, they've had a terrible season, haven't they? You think how well their 2017 campaign went, winning the league. They finished bottom in 2018. So, again, it's got to be attractive for Sheffield to move up. I mean, if Neil Match was still there, there's absolutely no way in a million years Sheffield would move up. I think they tried to get him to move up every year, and he said, "No, I want to stay in this division." But I didn't know about Simon Stead standing down, to be honest. So I've not heard about that. Is that?
Well, I'll have to do some research on that one. I'm with you. I think I think about time for them to give it a go. Actually,
yeah. I'm thinking, how long is it? I think 1998 was the last time Sheffield rode in the they rode in the Premier League when it was the one big league in the mid-90s. But the last time they rode in the top flight would have been about 88, I think. So it's a long time.
It is a long time. Who do you think will win the 3-team tournament at Perry Bar tomorrow? This from Ruth Hannah. Well, let's go over the teams. Have you got them?
Yes, I have, yeah. So at Birmingham, you've got James Shanes, Leon Flint, Anders Rowe, and I think the man that a lot of people are going to be keeping a close eye on, Dan Gilks.
Dan Gilks, yeah.
Cradley have got Drew Kemp, Ben Morley, Joe Lawler and Josh Embledon.
Sounds like a good team.
And the Wolves team is Max Clegg, Tom Perry, Dan Greenwood and Sheldon Davies.
It won't be Cradley.
Well, they've got a strong top two, to be fair. Obviously, Drew Kemp's had a fantastic season.
I meant it won't be Wolverhampton.
No, it won't be Wolverhampton. I can tell you now, well,
it
isn't actually a Wolverhampton team, is it, to be fair? It's just, a team of riders that have been put together with the Wolves racetrack.
I think probably Birmingham have got the more strength in depth there, do you think?
Yeah. Cradley, I think, have got the stronger top two, to be honest.
It's the Dan Gilks thing, isn't it? It's the Dan Gilks thing.
Yeah, I think there's going to be there's going to be more than a few clubs that are going to be keeping close eye on him this season because he's been, he obviously hasn't signed for anybody yet. So, but he's been doing a lot of practicing. So, and he's very, very highly rated, of course. So.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah. I think there's some exciting races there, isn't there?
Well, James Shands is always worth the
absolutely
admission fee as well. So.
Tom
Perry as well, even though Tom Perry's not quite the...
It's not the Tom Perry that rode for us.
Force of old, yeah, but he's still more than capable on his day for performing. So,
I'm looking at the time. Wow, the time's going really quick. I want to talk about that race. Do you know which race I'm talking about?
Bomber against Jason Doyle, by any chance?
Yeah, I mean, that was... When he rides like that, you think, well,
that's what Speedway is all about, isn't it? Because if you'd have been at that meeting, even as a you probably wouldn't have been if you'd have been a Somerset fan, to be fair. But
it's nice to see that race has actually gone quite viral as well, hasn't it? It's,
and you've got to say another thing from BT Sports' point of view. There's some cracking semi-finals, and then the final. They were all on a knife edge for a lot of the time.
That's right, yeah. But I mean, probably not if you're a Somerset fan. Obviously, if you're a Paul fan or even a neutral going to that meeting, you'd have come away buzzing after that last race.
Absolutely. That was like the 2007 Bomber at Cardiff last. I mean, how many matches go down to the last bend of the last heat? I can't remember the last time that happened. And then for it to be resolved in the way that it was resolved, with such a piece of.
You just
skill.
I just felt in the last lap of that race that Bomber was going to catch him.
Yeah, I did, really because I think Jason stayed down too low.
Yeah.
And gave him that room, and then when he finally thought, oh, hold on, he's coming around the outside of me, and moved out, Bomber just did what Bomber does, which is where he got his nickname from. He bombed up the inside of him, and game over. But it was great. Eric Parsons says Glasgow, there's a strong possibility of moving up, however could easily see them end up like Birmingham when support drops off back in the National League. Why would it drop off?
I don't think it would. The problem that Glasgow would have if they went into the top flight is their local derby would be Manchester, Bellevue Aces. So that would be the. I mean, I know it doesn't cost that much to get up to Glasgow now because you can fly up there, but.
Susan Jordan says, looking forward to watching James, Leon, Anders, Rowe and Dan Jilk. So Brummies win, methinks. See you tomorrow, guys. Yeah. Okay, see you tomorrow.
Yep.
I think... I hope it's not too easy. I don't think it will be too easy. I think it's going to be interesting. I think
it's about entertainment, isn't it? Sending people home happy after the end of the season. As they say, it's a long old winter coming up, so...
Anyway, is Susan like me thinking that actually the most important and exciting bit about tomorrow is seeing Mitchell Davey have a spin round?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can I just say apologies? We have had over 70, nearly 80 comments, and we haven't been able to get to everybody.
Yeah, we are trying.
It just goes that fast, and we can't sort of.
And I'm sure we've lost a few along the way. In fact, I know we've lost a few along the way. Somebody said, I can't remember who it was. If you can find it, somebody was saying that they're hoping. I'm paraphrasing madly here because I can't remember it. That they don't. Basically, what they were saying is they don't really like the National League, and they're not sure that they can carry on supporting. Yeah. I mean, I can understand that point of view, and it has been a problem, and we have lost supporters because of it. I think the National League racing actually surprised me. I think it's been better than I was expecting it to be. We've seen some cracking races. James Shane going in and out of 2 riders earlier on
There
in the season.
there has been some very good racing. And I think there's been some very good meetings at Birmingham this season in the National League. I doubt so, but.
Eric Parsons, if Birmingham move up a league, any chance of signing Nicky Pedersen?
We probably should mention Nicky actually, because of course he's.
Yes, he hung up his helmet as far as Grand Prix is concerned.
That's right.
Does that mean he's not going to try and get back into the? Has he actually said that? It seems like that's what he's saying.
Well, to be fair, I mean he's 41 years old now, so it is going to be difficult for Nicky to get back into the.
Well, I suppose he could go the route that everybody else goes, which is the meet. I forgot what they're called now, but
yeah,
the qualification.
That's
meetings.
right. Whether he's got the desire to do it, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the last, let's be fair, last season he was still winning GPs last season. I mean, it was only the one.
Won a GP this season.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so yeah, but whether you love or hate Nicky or not, I think his presence in the GP, maybe not necessarily missed by some of his opponents, but it'd be the pantomime villain as you were, which I think Freddie Lindgren may well be getting ready to step into the man club, to be honest.
You think?
Yeah, but just thinking about how Nicky will be remembered in the GPs, to be honest, probably.
Well, he's won it 3 times. Yeah. Not many people do that.
That's right. There's only him and the great Tony Ricardo who've managed to win it back to back in the GP. Ty's obviously going to try and do it now. I mean, Nicky was definitely in his prime. His speed was incredible. He's probably the quickest and most consistent rider.
And he could gate on par
in the
with
series. Yeah,
Hancock.
Very consistent. But there's always going to be that sort of other side of it. Some of the things that he did maybe, which probably were unforgivable, to be honest. Not only because they were blooming dangerous, but did he really need to be as intimidator as he was towards? I mean, probably more so with Greg Hancock, which I suppose you could maybe argue shows how much Greg got into his head a little bit, to be honest. But
certainly, Greg showed us how much Nicky Pedersen had got into his head with that infamous flying dive.
Yeah.
But this is sort of relevant to what we're saying there, actually, because Eric Parsons says, yes, I know it's laughable to talk about Nicky Pedersen again, but I bet Nicky would bring the supporters in for Birmingham, and that's the point, isn't it?
Yep.
That's what he does bring.
He did. I know when he rode for Peterborough that one season, I think he did enjoy racing at Perry Bar, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
There was one great race, I think in the Peterborough match when he produced a really good race in one of the heats.
Damn him!
I'm sure that was Nicky. So, but it'd be great. It would be nice to see Nicky have maybe one more year in the UK, which I suppose now that he's dropped out of the GP.
Well, there's another rider we can talk about that would be good to have next year for certain in Great Britain, of course, Mr. Woffenden. I wonder, has anything been said about that? That'd be great, wouldn't it? World champion.
Well, I think he was toying with the idea of maybe coming back this season, to be honest. But obviously, with the way that the averages were changed, of course, meant that and the one rider over 8 rule meant it was really going to be impossible for Ty to be fitted in anywhere, to be honest. But 3 World Championships now, looking to try and win it back to back for the first time. Could he catch Messrs Major and Ricardson, maybe?
Well, he's had this comment, hasn't he, which I'm going to quote directly out of the Speedway Star now. I think I can get better. I would say the best years in Speedway are your mid-30s. He's 28, is he? Something like that.
28, I think, yeah.
I have won 3 in 6 years. If I stay enthusiastic, I can beat the record of wins. That's what he's going for.
Well, I think Tony Ricardson was 29 when he won his 3rd one.
Yeah. So he's the youngest one to do 3,
that's
isn't
right,
he?
yeah. And don't forget, I mean, Ivan was nearly 40 when he won his last one, wasn't he? So
yeah.
I mean,
how old was Greg Hancock when he won his last one?
46. So he's definitely got a chance of doing it if he maintains his momentum and his desire.
It's about injuries as well, isn't it?
Leading the World Championship from start to finish sounds easy, doesn't it? But I don't think it looked like it was going to be easy at one point, and. He really had to dig deep in the last...
We should say Bartosz Marzlik really... I mean, he must be ruining his bad start to the season. I mean, he was that close. He's certainly Could he win it next year?
Well, he's definitely going to have given Ty a bit of food for thought, doesn't he? Because he's certainly going to be someone that's going to be stepping in
very
sales,
talented.
So.
Darcy Ward type talented, I think, Stephen Zettelwall says Nicky will ride in Denmark, Halstead, Sweden, Vastavik, and Poland, Zielna Góra. I'll probably pronounce that totally wrong.
There
In
you go,
2019.
yeah. So whether he'll be able to fit the UK in as well is...
Well, he hasn't got to do GPs, so...
maybe, yeah. So,
but, yeah.
it would be nice to see him back in the UK for one more year, though, to be fair.
It would be nice. Just for the pantomime villainness of it.
I think every sport needs a pantomime villain.
Oh, no, he won't.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, go away. Did you hear what he said?
I didn't hear
He
that.
said, oh, no, he won't. We're not quite at
He
Christmas.
was waiting for that, sir. Come on.
He's written that down, I wonder.
Yeah.
I've been waiting all night for that one.
So, okay, I think we should make a few predictions then. I've just thought of something we can make a prediction about. Well, I'll save that till last.
Yeah.
So, we've got Somerset against Kings Lynn in the Knockout Cup in the Premiership. Who do you see winning that one?
Somerset.
Really?
Yeah.
You've got to feel sorry for Kings Lynn.
Yes, but I think
You don't like Kings Lynn, do you?
Well, it's not nothing against Kings Lynn. It's the man in charge that I'm not so keen on at Kings Lynn, to be honest, because of his record as BSPA chairman, which I don't think is particularly brilliant, to be honest. But
Name me the last brilliant BSPA chairman.
I'm not that old, to be honest.
Exactly. So, yeah. Well, you say Somerset. I think Kings Lynn are going to do it. Robert Lambert, we have to say what a great season he's had.
Yep, and of course he's in the he's a reserve.
He's a reserve in the GP, so there's first reserve as well. So there's a chance he's going to get in there at some point. You would think. I can't remember the last time there's been a season in the GPs when there hasn't been a rider injured. So that's not wishing for it at all. Absolutely. By the way, good God, no. I've stopped saying at the end of our programme, and please no more injuries, because it didn't work.
No, it doesn't.
So I think it's actually my fault, so I do apologise to every single injured rider out there. Stefan Zetterwall says Kings Lynn Stars with Niels Christian Everson back will win.
He'll have to ride a bit better than he did in the... or start a little bit better than he did the other night, of course. I don't think he's got a point for his first two races, did he?
No, he didn't.
So,
but then that was interesting, actually. Then, of course, we've got the championship, which is Workington against... Is it Eastbourne? It's not Eastbourne, is it?
No, not unless Eastbourne has suddenly gone up into the championship.
No, of course not. See, I told you, I know nothing.
And it shows, yeah. It is Workington against either Lakeside or Peterborough. It's not been confirmed yet who's the second team, so that's a bit more difficult to predict, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be Lakeside.
Yeah, Workington have had a good season, to be fair. I know they've maybe had one or two issues with crowd sizes, but they've had some, a great season and some very good racing. So up there.
Ruth Anna says Robert Lambert should have gotten a wild card to the GP next year. What do you reckon?
I think he's maybe a year away.
I think it might not have done him any favours.
Yeah,
to be honest, if he had, I think getting a half a season in or something like that will do him the world of good.
That's right.
I mean, if he gets that half season and does well, then he's got himself his wild card for the next year, hasn't he? Mm-hmm. But yeah, Stars will even have Tero the Hero Arnio in their team. Yeah, I had heard about that. They've signed Tero Arnio. Yeah, I think they're going to do it.
And Mark Robinson says you're spot on.
What am I
Matt.
spot?
Not you. Not you. What would you call you? Saying you're spot on?
Oh.
I think he's saying you're spot on.
Buster's no good for
Speedway.
Well,
Is it
can't disagree. I don't think his record is good at all, to be honest.
Which brings me back to my last prediction, and I would like everybody in the next 4 minutes, what we've got left, to join in with this. What? I don't believe I'm going to... What will be the silliest decision made at this year's AGM?
I'm guessing all of them.
Your prediction.
All of them.
All of them.
Well, there's going to be one. There's going to be one thrown in somewhere, isn't there? That where we all scratch our heads.
Actually, I'd like to turn that around. What was the best decision that ever came from?
See, I think the problem. It's a fair question, and I think the problem in answering that is that you can't possibly know because they never stick with a decision. They never give something a go.
Yeah.
Like promotion, relegation. We was quite excited about that, I remember, when they started, because they tried to make the two leagues closer together, and we looked at the bottom and the top, and I thought, it was Sheffield, wasn't it?
Sheffield and Leicester.
Yeah, we thought, there's a chance of, and that was quite exciting. Just the fact that there might be, Leicester slaughtered them, so they scrapped it.
Yeah.
But that's the wrong decision. The right decision is to say, right, it didn't work. Why didn't it work? And find a way to make it work. If it's a good idea to have it, which it is, then you find a way of that's my, and that happens too many times with so many decisions that the BSBA make. It's like, are they still doing the fast track riders now? I'm not even sure they're doing it.
No, they got rid of it.
That was a great idea. Wasn't quite working properly, and they needed to work out how to make it work properly. Yeah. But it was a good idea. So
it worked to a point, I think, because it did bring it through.
Well, the first year they tried it, it worked.
Yeah.
And then they tweaked it so I can't remember that it ended up with riders with a good experience ending up at a reserve racing again. So.
Well, that's why we ended up with Peter Carlson riding at reserve for one racing, I think. So.
Yeah, and obviously he's going to get a massive average from that. Yeah. So that needed to be thought out a bit better. But
should mention as well, just looking back at Birmingham's past, obviously the sad news of Doug Ellis's passing.
Yes, we should say.
Sir Doug Ellis, I should say. Yeah. Sorry, Sir Doug.
I mean, he as I understand it, he's had involvements in Birmingham City.
He did, yeah.
Obviously big at Aston Villa, and he was one of the, I think one of the originals, or very close to original. It was 1960s, I think he was involved, wasn't he?
Yeah, Perry Bow.
Didn't he used to organise the away travels as well?
Yeah.
For
that's right. Yes, I mean, massive. Effect on the sporting.
Yeah, he worked with the fan club as well, wasn't he? He was the treasurer. That's a surprise.
He's up there laughing at that. He'd appreciate that, I'm sure.
Rest in peace, Sir Doug.
Absolutely.
Didn't always agree with everything he did, but
no. Do you ever agree with everything for anybody ever?
No,
no, but he does. So
not often. So.
Yes, we are back next Tuesday, hopefully.
Yes, next Tuesday will be our last programme.
Not forever.
Not forever. No. Until after the AGM. We usually do a special programme somewhere coming up towards Christmas after the AGM to talk about that.
Well, it'll be just you two, of course, because I won't be here with you next week because I'll be away. So.
Oh, right, okay, we'll just do a round-up and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, so it's going to be good.
You'll probably get a better show
next week.
Another holiday.
I think you got the idea from us.
Is that you saying that?
I haven't had a holiday for days.
I know, yeah.
Warren Nissen said the draft riders was a decent idea. I'll say that again. The draft riders was a decent idea, just needed to be implemented better. Helped several riders improve. Mm-hmm. And I think that's all true.
I think it did.
Yeah. And I think one of the things they got wrong was having two. They should have only had one in each team. That would have helped even things out a bit. It produced a bit of interest in as well when they did the draft.
Yeah,
in the pick, that was quite interesting as well. I hope you'll be back next Tuesday. We've answered that one. Looking forward to next week. Does she know something that we don't?
Mark says you're talking common sense. We don't have that in Speedway. Well, not on the BSPA front. He must be talking about Matt.
Okay, we can't be talking about me, obviously.
No, definitely not me. And somebody called Brian Book has just joined with 3 seconds to go.
Well done, Brian.
Thank you.
Right, well, I had lots of ideas of things that we were going to talk about today. As ever, the show got taken over by our listener. So
that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
I hadn't got an hour's worth, if I'm honest. Thank you very much for your comments. We will see you next week.
Just quickly, yes. Susan Jordan said, who's in for Matt next week? Well, if you want to pop in, if you fancy popping in.
It's a rod replacement, isn't it? So
yeah. If anybody's got an idea or anybody wants to pop in and as a late replacement.
Yeah, absolutely. Rod replacement.
There you go.
That'd be good, wouldn't it? Right, okay, you take care, everyone.
I've got quite a low average, unfortunately, so there's not much you can... The guests.
Poor attendance, though.
Yeah. Poor attendance, yeah. Always injured. Right, and on that note, take care, everyone. See you all next week. Take care.
Good night.